My friend, good morning. How are you, my friend? We live in a world where my reality starts with what I could understand with my five senses. If I could see it, feel it, taste it, touch it, smell it, then I know it's real. Now, the reality is that this world really is a reflection of a more spiritual world. Whatever I see in this world is really a reflection of a godly energy that's creating it. And that is really what Alter Rebbe is going to dive into today's shir. We're on Daf Dalid Omid Aleph Ois Dalid. Ois Dalid Vizehu. It's halfway through the page. Alter Rebbe is now going to explain that what we see in this world as a Mishkan is really a reflection of a spiritual Mishkan. It didn't start with the Mishkan here. The Mishkan here is a result of the Mishkan in the spiritual world. So this is what it says in the pasuk. Shesham olu shvatim shifte Yudke. That there, the Shvatim, the tribes of Yudke, which we explained already yesterday, that there's Yudke and Vavke. Yudke is the hidden worlds. That's through not doing an Avera, I bring down this big light. And Vavke is the revealed worlds. So why does it use the word Yud-K when it refers to the tribes going to the Mishkan or the Beis HaMikdash? Edus L'Yisrael. It's a testimony for the Jewish people. L'Hidus L'Shem Hashem, the Shem Havaya, to praise the Shem of Yud-K Vav-K. The Rebbe is now going to dissect this pasuk based on what we interpreted it, our interpretation from yesterday. Pirush Taish Alter Rebbe, Shesham, over there, what does it mean over there? Where's there? Yerushalayim HaBenuya. In Yerushalayim, which is built, Ki'ir Shechubra Chule, like the city that's connected. Pirush B'Gemara, the Gemara explains, the Pirush Ki'ir Shechubra La, Hainu Yerushalayim Shalamayla. What does it mean Ki'ir Shechubra La? It's connected to which city? The Gemara says that Yerushalayim didn't start in the physical world. Yerushalayim starts in the spiritual world. And Yerushalayim Shalamata is Mechuvin Yerushalayim Shalamayla. The physical Yerushalayim is parallel to the spiritual Yerushalayim. Right, in Kaimer Zal Perik Beis HaChagiga, Beshiva Rikim, in the seventh heaven, Zevul Sheba Yerushalayim Beis HaMikdash Mizbeach. The heaven of Zevul, that's the place where Yerushalayim the Beis HaMikdash Mizbeach is. Pirush Taish Alter Rebbe Sheshamalu. What does it mean that there they went up? In other words, they went up to the spiritual Yerushalayim. Where there's a physical Yerushalayim, parallel in a spiritual sense. We explained before, higher doesn't mean in a physical, spatial higher. It means that it's there in the Madrega. The Yerushalayim that's above Shabbat. That there's a mitzvah every 3 times a year you should go to the Eiler Regel. When I fulfill that mitzvah being Eiler Regel, in the Yerushalayim that's in the physical world, to show myself to the face of Hashem. When I'm in the lower Yerushalayim, then I'm actually in both. What's special about the Beis HaMikdash, or the Mishkan, is that when I'm there, I'm not just connecting to the physical Mishkan, I'm also connecting, ascending and going up into the spiritual one. This means Gam Yerushalayim Shalmayla, also in the Yerushalayim Shalmayla. And Ken Pirish Bar Ramah, that's how he explained the Ramah. Because of B'Shalor, Rish Parshas Yichid L'fi Pshut Yerushalayim Shalmata, Yerushalayim Asher B'Kan Be'ez HaKodesh Chuli. The Shalor says, where's Yerushalayim Shalmata? It obviously means Yerushalayim that's in Eretz HaKodesh. But there are multiple levels. Yerushalayim Shalmata Hu Shem Adonai. B'Gemata Heichel Shu Heichel Shem Havaya Sha'alav Nemer Havaya B'Eichel Kodesh Chuli. For Inin Chibur V'Yichud Vavke. Because the Yerushalayim that's down here is Shem Adonai, which the gematria, the numerical value of Adonai, is Heichel. Which that is Heichel means a chamber. It's a chamber for Shem Havaya. Regarding it says, V'Havaya B'Eichel Kodesh, that Havaya Yudke Vavke reveals itself in the holy chamber. And that's the idea of a connection of Vavke. Yerushalayim Shalamayla Chibur Chachma Bina. Yerushalayim that's above is a connection of Chachma Bina. So the Chibur V'Yichud Yudke, which that's the secret and the connection of Yudke. For me Pardesh Shar Ches Perikut Gimel. This is from a Kabbalistic sefer, the Pardes. I know this means Yerushalayim Pirish. What is Yerushalayim? Yerushalayim, the name again in the Lashon HaKodesh, the holy tongue, it's the language which Hashem created the world with. It's the code language. Just like Lahavdil these days, code is written in English. No matter what country you're in, use every website has English letters. Even if it's going to be a different language, they write it with English letters. Lahavdil. So too, when Hashem created the world, He created the world with the Hebrew letters, Hebrew alphabet. So when it's called Yerushalayim, there's a reason, because it's a compound word. It's made up of two words. Yareh, Pirush Taich Alter Rebbe, Yareh Shalim. Complete fear. Complete fear of Hashem. It's known there are two types of fear. There's the lower fear, there's the higher fear. Also, there's two categories of peace. Like it says in the pasuk, peace, peace, those that are far and those that are close. Which they are both Yichudim and Hamshachas. I'm not going to explain what Yichudim and Hamshachas is, but in short, what it is basically when I align myself to the divine energy, that's called Yichudim. I'm aligned, I'm one with it. And then Hamshachas, I draw down the energy from a higher level. The Bechinas Yudke says, oh, he's going to explain it. So what am I drawing down? You said yesterday that Yudke is drawn down through fulfilling mitzvahs leisasa, not kicking down the chair when the father is getting the cookie jar. That was a mashal we gave. Vavke is drawn through fulfilling the positive mitzvahs. That's the idea of a complete fear, shalamata, which is down here. Shebichinas vavke. Yerushalayim shamayla b'chinas yudke. אז זה נאמר ששם עולו שבת מחולי. So this is going to be explained in Mitzvah Hashem, but in short, the Rebbe is saying that there's Yichudim, there's Hamshachas, and when I do a positive mitzvah or a negative mitzvah, I draw down certain energy and certain light into this world. The higher Yerushalayim, the spiritual Yerushalayim, regarding to it, it says that it's a testimony to the Jewish people. That's the aligning ourselves with Yudke. In other words, when I don't do a negative mitzvah, I'm aligning myself with Yudke. And then they're called then the Jewish souls are now called Shiftei Ka, because we're aligning ourselves with Yudke. Edus L'Yisrael, which is a testimony to Yisrael. So there's Shiftei Ka and Yisrael. Shiftei Ka refers to when I'm aligned with Yudke, Yerushalayim above, the spiritual Yerushalayim, because like we said, Yudke is the spiritual Yerushalayim, and that's a testimony to Yisrael. So Yisrael is not Shiftei Ka. In other words, when Jewish people are on different levels, they have different names. I'll explain it inside. Why do I need a testimony for Yisrael? So Yisrael is the Yidin, how they are in the Yerushalayim Shalmata, in the actual Beis HaMikdash. What's the idea of a test of witnesses and testimony? What's a testimony? You're repeating and telling over the truth. I only could provide testimony on something which nobody knows about. That's why I need testimony to tell me about something I don't know. But on something which is revealed, I don't need. And it's not possible to tell testimony. Even something which is going to become public knowledge. Even right away, the Torah doesn't require testimony. What does it mean, a testimony for Yidden? The testimony is on the Yerushalayim Shel Mailo. It's something which I can't, and it's something which I cannot connect to. Which is called the hidden world. Like I said before, there's a hidden world. even though I'm walking around. And it's not just about the Beis Hamikdash also, it's about everything. The sweater that I'm wearing, the car that I'm driving, you think it started by the physical world? No. There's a spiritual energy that's, like the Gemara says, I'll call ein lecha kol esev ve'esev. There's not even one single blade of grass in the world that there's not an angel, a malach on top of it that hits it and tells the gadol. Every single creation in this world didn't start over here. It started in a spiritual reality. This world is an expression of a spiritual reality. Because the idea of Yichud Vavke, the Vav and Ke are connected, that is the idea of the light that's in a Keli, like we said, the idea of a mitzvah say, I'll be able to draw down the light in my tefillin, which is called Amud Izgalia. It's called the revealed world. And that's why it's called the lower Yerushalayim. Lower again doesn't mean in spatial, means in level. So in Zichri in Vavke, and that's what it means, Zichri with Vavke, like we explained yesterday. And Hashem Adai Shuanikra Yerushalayim Shmata Kanal. That's Yerushalayim Shalmata. He is the source of Biyah, of the three lower worlds, Bria, Yetzira, and Nasiya. And that's part of Seder Shtalshel, so I don't need Eidus for it. In other words, it's something which if I don't know about now, I'll know about it later. But Yudke is called the hidden world. Let me say that Shtalshel, which is much higher than the Seder of Shtalshel. It's not grasped in any Keli. Because no thought could grasp it at all. Regarding this energy that's brought down, this light that's brought down into the world, it says the Shvatim of Yudke are testimony to Yisrael. Even though we don't know what it is, Mamish, I know that it's there. The word Eidus has the same letter as Deis. So the word Eidus also has the same word as laws, knowledge. I'll teach them this knowledge. Eidus has the same letters as Das. So V'yakum Eidus b'Yaakov v'ksiv v'Eidosi ze alamdim. It means laws and it also means knowledge. Laws, knowledge. I'll teach them knowledge. I'm ashkosav b'kegavim b'masal yatayim ha'hefesh bin malkalam v'zinskalam b'chinas malkalam nemer b'sari yechaz elika ma'amesh al b'chinasiv v'kalam nemer b'aminu b'avaya v'mekom kem nemer v'yatayim v'shiyeh v'nimshef b'chinasas ma'amesh chuli. Fine. Yesh levar pirish Eidus l'Yisrael derech Amram Zal ben Ma'aravi Eidus hi shashchina sherer b'Yisrael. We could explain this idea of Eidus testimony. What's the idea of testimony? The idea of testimony is that I want to make it, I should know it. Like you said, it's the idea of Das, of Eidus. Eidus ve'Eidosi ze alamdim. I'm going to teach them this Eidus. So what the Alter Rebbe is saying is that I should know that even though there's this reality, something which I can't tap into, it's something which I should connect to. Peter Sheidus. So to explain, Alter Rebbe says, we're going to give an example from the Beis Hamikdash. In the Beis Hamikdash, the menorah was lit. Now there was one candle, the Ner Ma'aravi, that lit longer than was physically possible for all the candles. He poured the half a lug of oil into each of the 7 candles, and all 6 went out at a certain point when the oil was done. But the Ner Ma'aravi, the western light, always was lit. So much that he would start with that first, and he would end with that one first. This shows you that it's something supernatural, something higher than nature. There's something higher than nature that's happening in this menorah. Nevertheless, it's in the physical world. It's a physical action. Obviously, it's not tapping into this supernatural energy there, because the fact that it comes into a physical candle, expresses itself in a physical candle, is an indication that it's not that it's a limited energy. Nevertheless, this is testimony on this, that even though this miracle, it's the physical action, hu edus mamish, it's actual testimony al shras hashchina, that the Shechina is resting. Even though they're not comparable one to another. And so too, it's explained here in the idea that it's the edus for Yidden. The fact that in the Beis Hamikdash, they were squished to each other, they were like sardines. Then when it came time to bow down on Yom Kippur, anytime it came time to bow down, all of a sudden there would be space for them to bow down. That is something which is supernatural. So that's testimony that you're not standing in a regular place. You're connected to the Yerushalayim Shalmayla. And obviously that's not the ultimate Yerushalayim Shalmayla, because it's not something which could be expressed in a physical space. But the fact that it expressed a ha'ara of it in the physical space, that itself is indication, it's the edus that there is something spiritually higher here. So too mitzvahs are called edus. Said, in the way of your testimony I rejoiced. What's the idea of tzitzis? Why do I wear tzitzis? Because in a spiritual world there is also the idea of the hair of his head is like clean wool. It's white, which that refers to a certain type of energy in the spiritual world. So to the tefillin that I'm wearing is testimony for the tefillin that the master of the world wears. And the sukkah that I sit on, sukkah, is a testimony for the makifim elyonim. Makifim elyonim is, what's the idea of a sukkah? The idea of a sukkah is the energy that doesn't go inside of me. It's makif, it surrounds me. So there also Hashem has certain energies that He communicates with the world with that are makif. And this sitting in the sukkah is a testimony that that energy is resting in the physical sukkah that I'm sitting in. At their core, they're not relative. The tefillin that I'm wearing, or the tzitzis that I'm wearing, are not relative at all to the Eibushters in the spiritual worlds. Nevertheless, their testimony one for another. Just like by Torah, there's the real revealed part of Torah, and then there's the hidden part of Torah. Even though that the hidden parts are to Hashem our God, only what's revealed is to us and our children. Nevertheless, for us, from the revealed parts, there's proof on the hidden parts. What's the example? I look at even though the soul is an example. When you look at a person, you can't really see his soul, his neshama. Neshama is spiritual. How do I know a person has a neshama? I look at his physical body, and the physical body is an indication there's a soul. The way the neshama is in the soul, is in the body, is not even anything what the soul is by itself. It's a tiny, tiny drop out of the ocean. But that it still is an indication, because you see a body that can be completely healthy but is not alive. And you see that it's a whole different type of physical body. The soul, the neshama, affects the body, and it is a drastic change. The fact that I see a person that's alive, that's the eidos that there is a neshama. So too, from the physical mitzvahs, I know they testify there's a spirituality there. So this is explained more at length in a different mimer. So too, we'll explain the same idea of a testimony for Yisrael. Who's Yisrael? So I made a mistake. I thought Yisrael refers to a Yid. Alter Rebbe says that's the Pashta Pshat, but here's the Chassidish Pshat. Pirush Taich Alter Rebbe, Yisrael hu b'chinas Adam le'ela. Yisrael is Adam, which is in the spiritual, that's on the chair. That's the idea of Vavke. Shenikra Niglis, which I call Niglis Gabi Yudke, Shenikra Nistaris. Compared to Yudke, which is Nistaris, nevertheless, it's drawn down from Yudke to being clothed a little bit into Vavke. The idea of the Meichin of Zah, which is drawn in it from Chachman Bina, but this Ha'ara is not like it's above. Yudke itself, which we explained before, that this is the level of darkness, not because there's no light, but because it's too bright. Why? Because it became contracted so much that it could be enclosed in Vavke. V'im kol zeh, he mibchinas Yudke. Nevertheless, it's not Vavke energy, it's Yudke energy. L'mayla b'bchinas Vavke, and it's much higher than Vavke. Al kei nikra Eidos, that's why it's called a testimony. It's testifying that there is a Yudke energy. She Eidos mamash al b'chinas Nistares, Yashas Chayshach Sisa. It's a testimony on Nistares that there is something hidden here. Even though that relative to their core and who they are, they cannot be revealed. Because they can't be revealed not because they're not there, but they can't be revealed because if they would be revealed, it would be just like a light. The light is too strong. If I turn on the light, you won't be able to see. Nevertheless, this is drawn there a revelation of light in the Yidden in the spiritual world. Until it's mamash testimony. On the level of Yudke, that's what Eidos is, idea of Deus. Testimony is the idea of knowledge. Beside Keil Deus Havaya, in the secret of the Kabbalistic secret of Keil Deus Havaya. Which I explained before yesterday that the Keil Deus Havaya is that there's two levels basically. There's the Yudke and the Vavke. The Yudke is like the spring under the ground, or the ocean under the ground, and the Vavke is like the river that flows on top. You could see what's going on. Yudke, which is Chachma Bina, to Vavke, which are the Midas. Fine. So this is explained elsewhere in Tanya Perek Gimel. That explains at length what is das and how I connect to it. But the Alter Rebbe is saying over here is that v'chein gamkin b'chol echad misol lamata al derech mashkos b'rabbeis pirish Yudke Eidos Yisrael Yudke Meid Alein b'chein b'nei Avos. Oh, so I wasn't wrong. So Yisrael refers to the spiritual Yisrael Saba, and it also refers Yisrael Delela, and it also refers to every single Jew. That every single Jewish person is a testimony. That's one of the reasons why there's anti-Semites. Why are there anti-Semites? Because a Jew is not just a Jew. A Jew is testimony that there's a spiritual reality. And it irks them, this idea that there's such a thing as that there's a God, there's a Manig Olam, that they can't handle it. So how do I get rid of it? If you want to win a court case, you want to do fraud, you have to destroy the evidence. The Jews are evidence that there's a God in this world. So whoever's trying to hurt a Jew is really just trying to hide the evidence that there's a God, so he could do his fraud. He could get away with murder. Now Havaya, you are our father. Their faces are recognizable. A Jew's face is recognizable, like it says in Yeshaya. Anyone who sees a Jew knows that he's a Jew. I don't know if it's because it's a long nose or from their personality. Their neshama, it's because their neshama is shining. A Jew's neshama shines. You could get a nose job and it's still going to be noticeable that you're a Jew. Because it's not about only the physicality, it's also your neshama. Why? Because the Shem Havaya is shining in your body. What is the Yud? The Yud is the idea from Bittul. The Alter Rebbe says in Tanya, which goes in Perek Yud Ches, that every single Jew in Perek Yud Ches has a Bittul to Hashem, just like a flame that's flickering and wants to go back to its source. So to every neshama wants to connect to Hashem. And the idea of the hay takes the Yud, like we explained yesterday, and extrapolates it for its length and its breadth. So too, the hay is the idea of meditating in the greatness of Hashem. These two levels in Kabbalah, Kabbalistic terms, are called the two friends that don't separate. It's called also the dat in the chamber. So just ensure the dat is Chachma and the chamber is Bina. When the dat is in the chamber, because since Bina is Harchava, it's like a Heichel, then you have a full picture. He explains that the hay in the meditation is the Heichel. The Heichel is a place where this bidl could express itself. So in Yudki, that's the and this is drawn down and fulfilled specifically through fulfilling the mitzvah of leisaseh. Shinyanim hu iskafia ubitl. What's the idea of leisaseh? It's the idea of iskafia, holding myself back, ubitl, and nullifying what I want. I want X, Y, and Z, and Hashem says no, and I listen to Hashem. So Shesham Olu Chuli Lohidus Hashem Havaya. That's what it says. Shesham Olu. They go there. They go up into Yudkei. Why? How? Through Lohidus Hashem Havaya, through praising the name of Hashem. Now, praising also has another meaning to it. Has the same root as the word moide, to admit. Ki pirish Lohidus Hainu B'chinas Heidah Ubitl. The B'chinas Shalamayim Me'asag Ma Delis Mashotis Bekla. What does it mean to praise? It also means could be admitting, Heidah, admitting, and bitl, and nullification. I'm saying, you know what? I don't understand, and I'm giving up my intelligence to the super intelligence, the God's intelligence. Like it's known there's a difference between bracha and haidah. What's the difference between bracha and haidah? That bracha, blessing, means you're bringing it down in a revealed sense. Meaning, what is a bracha? A bracha means that really in a spiritual world. Like we said, everything in the physical world starts in a spiritual reality, and then it gets augmented, and it becomes processed, to become physical. Now, a blessing, what's a bracha? A bracha is that there is a bracha in the spiritual world, and the bracha brings it down into the physical reality. What's haidah? Haidah, when I admit to Hashem, it's higher than my capacity, my IQ. My mental capacity. It's the same. And so too, that's the difference between a positive mitzvah and a negative mitzvah. The mitzvah says, that through doing a mitzvah which is vavke, which that's what we explained yesterday, is the 248 limbs. Then the light is drawn in a revealed way into the keli, into the vessel, container. And that's like the idea of bracha. That's why we make a lot of blessings, brachas, on mitzvah, because we're drawing down, on every mitzvah we're drawing down a new light. But which Leisa says the level of Yudke, which is the hidden world, it's not grasped in any grasp, only in a way of Haidah. I could just admit to it. I don't understand it, it's not my thing, but I know it's there. And therefore there's no action to do. Meaning that it's in the way of a vessel, because it's a way of a loy. Don't knock the chair down, that's all. That's the idea of the Shavatim of Yudke. Is testimony to thank the name of Ayash. In this level, it's not shaykh only Haidah. That through holding back the Sitracha, the beauty of Hashem goes above. This is the level of the Leisa Session, which is the level of Leisa Chalu. Yes, to close his eyes from seeing something that's just bad. Also with all other senses. So too with your inner emotions. I shouldn't be drawn after the physical pleasures and love physical things which are not for Hashem. So too with all other midas. What's the reason why I shouldn't be drawn after the physical pleasures and physicality of every experience that I go through? The reason is there shouldn't be a concealment on the holiness of Hashem. Which is much higher than mitzvah say. So what's the Alter Rebbe saying here? He's saying that through that. So there's two nekudas we said. One nekuda is that this physical world is representation of the spiritual world, and it's testimony. In the Mishkan is resting the Yudke, which is a spiritual Mishkan that's resting in the physical Mishkan. And how do we get that? Through Dafke Leisasa. What does Leisasa mean? It means the Leisasa. So testimony is Eidos, is Mloshen Das. How do I get there? I get there through Haidah. Hoidah is, I want to look here, and I say, I'm not going to look there because Hashem doesn't want me to look there. I'm drinking a tea, I'm eating a Danish. I'm not focused on the physicality of it, because if I do, it's not an Avera. But then it covers up on the holiness, and I won't get this amazing light from Hashem. Have an amazing, unbelievable, conscious day where I walk through the day and I think about the Maimer. I look at a table, I look at a car, I look at a food, and I say, oh, this food doesn't really originate here, it originates from a spiritual world. And let me focus on the spirituality of every experience that I have. Have a wonderful day.